Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another high-level match of StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a best-of-3 series from the GSL Code S, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Gresvin. Spotting right here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, playing with the blue Terran SCVs, we have Bunny and his opponent in the opposite corner with the red Zerg drones. He goes by the name of Dark. Alrighty, so this is from the round of 8. From the GSL Code S, considered to be one of the most prestigious StarCraft 2 tournaments in the world. So you can certainly imagine that both of these players are gonna bring their A game. Now, this particular series has been talked about quite a bit, specifically because of game number 2. I've heard stories of game 2. I'm not entirely sure what to expect, so we're gonna find out. But first off, I guess we're gonna have to go through game number 1. I know, watching high-level StarCraft 2 on what is probably the most competitive map right now. What an absolute disaster. Anyways, curious to see what these guys are gonna go for. Honestly, like I said, it's one of the most prestigious tournaments in general, even though Dark may very well mix it up, right? He's not afraid to go for some aggression in the earlier stages of the game. Usually, when there's a lot of prestige on the line, players and money too, right? Maybe that's, you know, a little bit less important for us, maybe a little bit more important for them. But usually, whenever there's a lot of money on the line and a prestigious tournament as well, players will play a little bit more conservatively. Obviously, over the years, we've had, well, players win tournaments based off of cheese primarily. Right, there's a couple of events that come to mind. I remember, for example, that meta in the Protoss matchups where Haas has figured out that, or he had figured out, that you could build a bunch of, well, stuff on your opponent's side of the map, right? We used to see proxy robos, shield batteries, cannon rushes, proxy void ray, right? Where you would go with shield batteries over here, Tempest shooting away at a distance too. We've seen some nasty strategies over the years, but generally speaking, especially in the current meta, most of those strategies have been flushed out, and yeah, we see them from time to time, occasionally, but it's not really the go-to build for really any player right now at this level of play. Alrighty, so, yeah, as expected, normal strategies here so far. We'll have to see if Bunny decides to go for a triple CC. There is a second gas already coming up right here for him, so he may very well opt to go straight into a starport. Is that the plan? It is indeed the plan. Alright. So, 1-1-1 right here from Bunny. This is the most conventional build that we... Well, honestly, it used to be the most conventional build. These days, usually it's that single gas start into a quick third command center. This is, I guess, the older version of the 1-1-1, but still, you know, very common. Anyways, so the Marine right over here is going to have to run for its life. There is a Hellion popping out of that factory. Second one now also available. Okay, the Marine does eventually go down. SCV here also in a bit of trouble, but good defense here from Bunny. So obviously the main reason why this even occurred in the earlier stage of the game is because Bunny decided to skip on that very first Reaper scout of his, making the assumption here that everything is normal. Bit of a dangerous assumption to make, but obviously these guys know who they're going to be playing against in advance, so they have some time to prepare, and I guess Bunny has figured out by studying Dark's replays that he's not likely to cheese you super early on into the game. Maybe he's not afraid of putting a Roach Warren down a bit later, but generally speaking, he's not going to be going for a super aggressive early game spawning pool, or I don't know, a quick Roach Warren, like one base Roach Ravager, for example. We saw that every once in a while back in the day. Anyways, these Hellions, though, they show up nice and early. There's really not a whole lot available here just yet for the Zerg, and I think this is exactly what he had designed for this particular game. 4 drones going down so far, slow Zerglings on the back of this, Queen's trying to cut off the retreat path. In the end, that was definitely not worth it, though, for the Terran. Yeah. Even though that started off promisingly, and obviously there's a lot of lost mining time as well for those workers here, I don't think that actually was very favorable there for the Terran player at all, because you delay your third command center, so the one is going up right now in the main base, but you're essentially now at the mercy of the Zerg gods for the next couple minutes. Sure, you can make more Hellions, sure you can start up Stimpack, sure you can have Banshees going, but Dark right now knows, okay, as long as I have just killed those Hellions, right, they're obviously not around anymore, I can keep droning up. Now luckily here for Bunny, Dark hit a bit of a supply block. So Dark currently making 3 Overlords at once. Not optimal, but there you go. He immediately fires up 9 additional workers. Okay, so are we gonna go for a lair here into a baneling nest, or are we gonna go double upgrades first? I'm not exactly sure. He does see right now the very first Banshee. I guess for now, Dark is just powering out workers. Yeah, okay, 5-minute lair here starts up. So that Spore Crawler is, yeah, I guess in a good position to cut off the very first movement here of the Banshee, but I actually don't think I liked it all too much. 3 drones end up going down. Second Banshee right now also flying across. We should see a baneling nest coming up here for Dark very soon, whereas Bunny is transitioning towards that marine-based mid-game. That Spore Crawler position is also not optimal. It should be a little bit closer over here. Okay, Banshee all the way in the top left-hand corner now, 4 kills. So I guess I got another one. Wow, it was off camera. Or maybe I can't count. Both options are perfectly viable. Okay, it's fine, Loko, it's fine, don't worry about it. Okay, so good little bit of harassment right here by Bunny, but it would have, of course, been much better if he didn't lose those Hellions, because, yeah, you can see that normally, right, the problem is the Banshees distract the Queens, and then the Hellions can go into the third base, and then the Zerglings usually are tasked with dealing with that, but Dark did make a small group of Lings to, well, deal with additional follow-up reinforcing Hellions, but since he killed the very first ones, basically for free, I mean, at the cost of a couple of drones, I suppose, he was able to drone up very aggressively on the back of it. Roachwarren coming up right now too, so that Roachwarren timing is rather interesting to me. Yeah, he is gonna go for the +1 missile upgrade, okay. So missile carapace, roach speed, I would imagine. Dark, by the way, with a stupid amount of money in the bank right now. Hello, Dark. Hello, Dark, my old friend. He probably doesn't know my name. He's probably seen me at tournaments, he's like, oh yeah, that guy with the big forehead. Hello, Dark, my old friend, maybe a little bit too ambitious. Overseer coming up right now. Dark makes a, okay, 6 Overlords. I am not impressed right here by the Zerg player so far. I mean, he's doing a decent enough job, and he's getting work done on the other side of the map. But this would have been a hell of a lot better if he didn't take a whole lot of damage at home in the meantime, too. Some of it inflicted by the Terran, some of it, though, inflicted by himself. 1-1 finishing up together with combat shields very soon. We should have Stimpack already done right here for Bunny. He's pushing on the left side of the map. This is not scouted by Dark, so good movement right here by Bunny, as he's now going to show up completely unscouted, and that is big. That may very well be the end of that base, although that being said, Bunny is going up against a Zerg who's been making a lot of units. Corrosive Vials will get rid of that siege tank. Even so, the 4th hatchery doesn't really have any workers on it yet. So that means, for Bunny at least, that... Oh, he gets a couple of Ravager too. Yeah, not bad. That means for Bunny that he is in a good economical position. If you scout... Okay, my opponent really doesn't have much. He's going Roach Ravager. Right, he doesn't have much economy. He's going Roach Ravager. He, well, may go for an attack when 1-1 finishes. But economically right now, I am fine. And I think a lot of that is due to the fact that Dark... Ooh! Okay. Did that Corrosive Ball just kill an entire Metaphect full? I think it did. It must have. Sorry, I backed up like 10-15 seconds in the replay. That shouldn't have happened, which is why I didn't have it on camera. Really? Okay. Okay. Both players making some mistakes here and there. Being very critical, guys. I've been casting some Serral games over the last couple of days. Genuinely, though, when you look at like Serral versus Clem. So for years, right? The Korean scene was the pinnacle of StarCraft 2. Those guys were better than anybody else, but these days I am honestly more impressed by guys like Clem and Serral than some of the high-level Koreans. At least in this first game so far, I think it's pretty apparent as to why. But in general, they just, I don't know, there's a crispness, right? A cleanness to most of the top-level Europeans right now. Actually, all of the top-level Europeans right now. They're playing a very crisp style. Anyhow, Dark and Bunny playing it maybe a little bit dirtier, but it's just as effective. Lovely little targeting right there. That also kills the tumor that was still spreading. Yeah, these guys tend to be a little bit more random with their movement, which can be incredibly useful, of course. Like, these roaches were ready to go in for an attack, but now this is basically a free pickup right here for Bunny. Yeah, gets a whole lot of roaches. He can pick up and get on out of there if he wants to. Now, nice little bit of micro there as well by Dark, pulling back the weakened roach. Trying to make the best of that situation, as he's now going up towards the hive. Honestly, though, whenever you are in a situation like this, right, and both players take a bit of damage, as long as nobody takes critical amount of damage or a critical amount of damage, they will be able to, yeah, continue building up. So, since neither player is currently in a position where the game is going to end anytime soon, I think it's safe to assume... Are we going to try and do this again? Don't tell me it would work a second time. Since both players are just, yeah, heavily macroing up right now and neither of them is in a game-winning position, we are transitioning towards late-game units. I just don't think you're going to be able to bow down a medevac full of units against Clem, okay? I just, don't see it happening. Bunny over here does notice, indeed, the infestors just barely in the nick of time. Good movement right here by Dark. He's chasing this a little bit further, though, than I think he should, but at the very least, he's getting rid of this drop. Couple corrosive balls once again, forcing the pickup and getting that army on out of there. Okay. Nidus network coming up. Okay. 4th command center has been secured. +2/+2, about to finish up here for Bunny, who's now ready to go for his first major attack. This is a really scary one. Yeah, he now started up the additional command center production too. 5th command center on location. You love to see it. Ghost Academy I don't think has been... Oh no, he does already have it. I just missed it on the production tab. I was gonna say, that's the only thing that would be missing here. He probably wants to trade out some supplies so he can start making some ghosts. This is a scary attack though. Okay, there we go, Bunny. Yeah, the lurkers aren't out yet, so the lurkers are showing up to this party a little bit later than they should have. Adaptive Talents is gonna finish up. There's some good abductions as well, though, getting rid of a couple of the tanks, but the hatchery has already been picked off. Transfusion right there on the Overseer to try and keep it alive. One base down. Ghosts, Liberators, Siege tanks. That's the follow-up right here for Bunny. Okay, lovely movement here. Infestor gets blown up as well. Good target firing right there with the Siege tanks. He decides to stim into the lurkers. Ooh, very dangerous, man. It's always difficult to say exactly how many there are, but Bunny taking a page out of Bjorn's book. Most Terran players are horrified of doing that. For good reason. Yeah, if they don't have their seismic spines upgrade yet, their ranged upgrade, it's really difficult for the Zerg to deal enough damage, but he's got to be so careful though. I actually think he's overextending a bit here. I mean, he's still getting good traits. Liberator shows up right now. Ghoster just simply rallied straight across the map. Really, Bunny? I thought we were going to go for one attack and then, you know, fall back. Especially when you just add on 3 command centers and you're making a big tech transition. I don't think you necessarily want to go this aggressive. Dark, of course, now reinforcing this with some lower tier units as well. Those Zerglings, they pop out nice and quickly. I think that these Overseers are on a mission. Yeah, to get the worm in. Very good. The Nidus worm is going to finish up momentarily. I don't know if there's anything already in the network. No, there's currently nothing in the network. It's mostly just to create a distraction. Here's a big push at the front as well. I think the original plan was to put the lurkers in there, but at this point it's mostly just to pull some of those reinforcements away. That being said though, Ghosts, they're pretty good units. Yeah, and Bunny does deflect this counterattack relatively easily. And in the meantime, it looks like the Nidus worm actually never happened either in the main. Reinforcing Terran units popped out of the barracks, took care of it, and nothing really was taken care of. There we go again. Siege tank here. Probably is gonna set up shop here permanently now. Yep, this is his life. He's gonna live here. Whenever the Zerg decides to pop down a Nidus worm, this bad boy over here is gonna take care of that easy peasy. Okay. Very good army movement right there from Bunny. I think he overextended for a bit, but in a way he also, yeah, baited Dark to go for an overextension himself, right? So Dark probably looked at that, thought the same thing. He's like, yo, my opponent just gave me his entire army. But it turns out Bunny was on top of it. Dark only had, by the way, 70-something workers here, which is really not that much. Tactical nuke also coming up here for Bunny. Okay. Lurkers are available now in large numbers, but the Vipers got taken care of, so this is now a little bit dangerous. Nidus Worm going up here in the back, okay, fair enough. Maybe a couple Lurkers can harass that base. Those Spines dealing quite a bit of damage. Planetary Fortress over here at the base as well. Lurkers do burrow in location, and that is obviously a really scary position right here for the Terran player. That being said, though, he's creating a bit of a sandwich here, sniping all of those lurkers in a heartbeat. 16 SCVs went down. Quite a few of the Terran units also died, but that was a really good trade there for the Terran player. Just getting so much damage in. Okay, I think we were originally planning on nuking this base, but there's no drones to be found anywhere. Another Nidus Worm, okay, going up in the main base, fair enough. I don't know what you're trying to do here, Ghost. I don't think you were set up to auto-attack, yeah. He decided to walk over there. Okay. This worm here will disappear into the ground. Another Nidus Worm in the main base. There are some units in it, but it doesn't really make sense to go and commit to popping them out. The Ghost has now been repositioned to cast a tactical nuke right over here. I do think it's gonna finish because they're actually quite tanky units. Yeah, eventually it will go down. Good bit of lost mining right there for Bunny. Or, sorry, for Dark. And that does mean that Bunny, well, I guess it's good for Bunny. That means that Bunny is once again able to max out. He needed a little bit of time here. Late game Terran, man, has been looking really dangerous lately. These top level Terrans are incredibly good at the late game. Maybe I wasn't as impressed by the early to mid game if you compare it to some of the previous games we've seen over the last week. But these Korean Terrans, they certainly know how to play late game. Cure's been looking really good in the late game. Maru's been really looking good in the late game. Byun's been looking good. Bunny's been, every single one of the top level Korean Terrans. Maybe Gumiho is struggling a little bit in the late game compared to these guys, but look at the ghost count. Pew, 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 pew. Pew, 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 pew. There you go. You shall not leave. I believe that's the original quote. Mistranslation right there from Wizardish. That's a language, I'm pretty sure. Tolkien didn't really speak Wizardish very well, even though he came up with his own language. Anyways, languages even. Starting to think Tolkien was a bit of a nerd. We're gonna need some scans though, Mr. Bunny. Yeah, I was gonna say, I see a couple of those lurkers dealing more damage than they should. Okay, this Nidus Worm targeted down as well. We're gonna need one more scan over here to reveal that one. Either way, just the auto attacks right there from the Ghost are gonna be enough. Well, a couple Marines also helping out. A Marauder in the mix. Snipes going down left, right, and center. Dark is trying to hold on here. He's got a bit of an army here coming in from the right. Okay, this is kind of scary. He wants more lurkers though, but if he decides to morph in lurkers over here, I mean, he's not... Oh my, this doesn't work. This does not work, Dark. Morphing lurkers in the middle of the map, trying to walk them towards their optimal location without any support. Yeah, these units are just getting destroyed. Bunny is all over Dark right here in the late game of map number 1 of this series, and Dark just doesn't have the economy. He really needs spellcasters. Like, that's the tricky part, right? So you kind of want infestors, you kind of want vipers, but those units get countered by the Ghost as well. So lurkers get countered by the Ghost, ultras, brute lords, infestors, vipers, right? And then a couple of the other units too. Ravagers, queens, hydras, not necessarily great against these units either. So I understand that Dark doesn't really want to make the transition, right? But I don't think lurkers are gonna cut it. I think your best bet against these type of armies is Hydraling Bane. But the problem is, Dark never actually made the melee upgrades. GG is cold, and game number 1 goes in favor of the Terran. Very well played right there by Bunny. Alrighty. Next up, we find ourselves on Royal Blood. Most of the time, whenever we see Zerg players going +1 missile first, they will transition towards melee upgrades, and then usually the second Evo is going to do armor upgrades, specifically because of the late game. So you may want to get +3 missile eventually, but you really do need the melee upgrades in case the opponent decides to go for ghosts. And let's be honest, yeah, if the game goes that long, they will always make the ghost. Okay, so anyways, game number 2. This is the game that I've heard stories about. Bunny going for a little bit of, a little bit of a proxy behind the opponent's natural expansion. Oh no. Luckily here for Dark, the OV is flying in the right direction. But no. That is gonna be so close. Oh god, I don't think it's gonna reach. This is a dirty cheese right here by Bunny. I mean, he's 1-0 ahead. Oh, this is what you get from studying your opponent's replays, right? So, like, Bunny must know the scouting pattern that Dark takes on his very first Overlords. And I'm sure Dark does deviate from time to time, but this is definitely something you do specifically against this opponent when you know their patterns. That bunker right now is also absolutely killer. Okay, well, we all know that Dark is some of the very best crisis management in the entire game. So we'll have to see how he decides to respond against this. Already, though, Bunny has transitioned towards a refinery over here. Let me, by the way, flip the scoreboard real quick, because I just realized it is inaccurate. There we go. Okay. Dark, do you cancel the hedge? No, he does not cancel the hedge. So him not canceling the hatchery here is basically him saying, okay, I am sacrificing my natural. Links are gonna be pretty decent, but there's already 2 bunkers. I don't think that Dark can really break this. He decides to go for a Roach Warren right away. He decided to go for a second extractor too. I like the response here from Dark, but it's effectively leading to a 1-base all-in. This is a nasty cheese over here. Bunny going for some proxy barracks inside of the opponent's natural expansion. Okay, SCVs should not go down. Good little bit of mineral walking over there that allows him to glide through those units. Maybe this, okay, yeah, he's getting repaired. You love to see it. Okay, Marines hunting down the Queen. Not bad. High ground vision right here, provided by the SCVs. Honestly, flawless execution here so far by Bunny. The thing is, though, yeah, we do have a lot of roaches coming up. Even though this hatchery is going to fall, they're providing a little bit of larva production, right? Or it's providing a little bit of larva production, okay. The cocoon obviously has a lot of additional armor, so do you decide to commit to targeting it down? Apparently not yet. I don't think Dark really cares about this hatchery, to be honest. I think this hatchery, yeah, maybe it getting targeted down here eventually. Okay, I thought maybe the Brootlings would be enough. He decides to target the SCV, so that's nice. But we're really just trying to get roaches out. Is there enough right now for Bunny to defend at home? And honestly, I'm not entirely sure. He did decide to go for a pretty quick gas on the... He's gonna have like 5-6 units here, knocking on his front door very soon. Overlord ends up getting sniped, so that's a big kill right there, because Dark, I mean, he relied on that Overlord plus the hatchery. Okay, he's gonna sit here on the high ground instead. We're gonna wait for this little divot. Okay, the Marines do show up, and that is gonna be quite a few free Marines. Not bad at all. Yeah, he's supply blocked. I mean, he just finished up a couple Overlords, I guess. Maybe he could have morphed that one in. Ravager walking back home. If you morph it into a Ravager, it will spawn with full hit points! Okay. This is still scary, though, for Bunny. He's going for Cyclone production right now, which I like. But I don't think he should make this an all-in. Yeah, he's going for a second command center right now, which I do think is the right call. Okay, that's Cyclone here in the back, trying to get as much damage in. Zork is gonna expand afterwards. I think, maybe. Honestly, I don't think he should. Nah, just go for a 1-base all-in, yeah. So he's mining as much gas as possible, so that'll allow him to make a lot of Ravagers. Ravagers, of course, don't have a speed improvement or an attack movement. They have nothing, right? They are as good as they come right now, other than Evo chambers. We have a starport coming up here for Bunny, but because he was forced to make 2 Cyclones, he doesn't have any anti-ground yet in the form of flying units. So I do think he wants to go Banshees. Maybe a siege tank would have been nice? I'm not exactly... Anyways, Zerglings do have speed right now. Overlord still alive as well. He wants to get high ground vision. So that'll allow him, yeah, to start raining the biles. Now, I really love this second layer right here, though. That is wonderful work here by Bunny. Making a second layer to his wall off. There is a little bit of a hole over here, though. Yeah, there is a gap over here. Dark going after some of the supply depots here of the Terran player. So the Terran player does hit a bit of a supply block, even though the command center just finished up. Suddenly there's a Zerg infestation inside of the main base. And what started off as an amazing game for Bunny is gonna be a Dark win, isn't it? Yeah, Dark is the master of chaotic games. I can't imagine he's been in these scenarios very often, but he always seems to be so quick on his decision making. Now, there is a Banshee out, but yeah, 0 SCVs remain. Well, That takes us to Neo-Humanity. For some reason, Dark always seems to be quicker on his decision making in situations that he probably has never seen before. He always seems so comfortable in those chaotic games. I always feel that Sero, for example, Raynor, right, the other top level Zergs, I always feel like they're really good at those chaotic situations because they've, you know, had their friends do that build against them about 5 dozen times, and then, you know, they figured out the optimal response. But obviously, StarCraft 2, I mean, if chess is a game with infinite amounts of moves, right? With just games that after just a handful of decisions have never been played before. Obviously, StarCraft 2, with the maps and just the unit movement and it being real time, it's far more complex. Dark, at least complex as far as the total amount of options go. Okay, I don't want to upset any of the chess viewers here. I know that chess is an incredibly hard game. I love chess. Anyways, we can talk about that a little bit more later, but yeah, the fact that Dark looks at that situation and he immediately realizes what it is he wants to do is really cool to me. So, are we gonna go for... Ooh, we are gonna go for a quick third base, but in a bit of a funky position. Okay, so Dark also going for a strategy we don't normally see him play. Okay, going for that base over there in the back first. Now, he sent that drone early enough so the Reaper didn't see it. And there is a chance right now that Bunny is assuming that this is gonna be 2-base Zerg. Bunny this time around going triple CC. This is a very fast third command center, by the way. Ah, okay. So we went barracks, command center, barracks, yeah. So yeah, we started with a command center, then we went into a depot, barracks, gas, command center, barracks. Okay. So even though Bunny doesn't see a third base here from the Zerg, I think he will accidentally play a good counter. Oh, it's a triple Rex even. Okay. Yeah, this is what I love about the GSL in particular. Because of the fact that these guys have some time to prepare, they will usually go for strategies that are not necessarily good on the maps, they're not necessarily good in the matchup, but they're good against the opponent. What are the odds of Dark cheesing on Neo-Humanity? Well, a couple months ago, he was very fond of making hatcheries over here at the opponent's back, but he's clearly decided over the last few weeks that that is no longer a style to go for. And I think if he would have done it in this particular game, well, Bunny would have had like 3 units out. Which, believe it or not, is not ideal if you want to defend an all-in from the Zerg. This time around, even though it was Dark thinking he was outsmarting his opponent, I actually think Bunny is outsmarting the outsmarting of Dark. It's like a reverse bluff over here. Okay. So, third gas going up right now for... Or no, second gas. I was going to say, that would be very strange if he already goes for a third gas at this point in the game. This timing here is different than what we normally see. So, commonly there are broadly speaking, there's 2 varieties to Terran openers against Zerg. First up, we have the double Rex start, and then we have the 1 Rex, 1 factory, 1 starport, right? Those are the strategies we see more often than not. This is a double barracks opener. Or sorry, a triple barracks opener, but 2 barracks right here with tech labs on them, so he's going for double upgrades here at the same time. Historically, this has always been a Terran versus Protoss build, but then minus the third command center. Because the third command center against Protoss would be kind of insane. So I think Bunny is still going to be able to go for a timing, but he needs to be a little careful. Normally, this is the type of attack that hits without any sort of metavex. So usually you go for an attack when Stimpack and combat shields are done, but obviously with this build, since he went for the third command center, he's going to have less units than you would ordinarily have in an opener like this. He needs to be careful that he doesn't get overwhelmed, because there's really no way for these guys to go back home. Luckily for him though, it's once again a Roach Warren here for Dark. And Roaches are good at defending this sort of aggression, but they're not that great at, well, surrounding and preventing this army from retreating. Yeah, so I think the reverse bluff right here from Bunny is working out nicely for him. Okay, Stimpack being activated. Keep in mind, there's no Metavex available to heal these Marines back up, but these are so good. Yeah, there's some transfusions going down, but this is an amazing start right here for Bunny. That being said though, yeah, he needs to double stim. How many drones can he kill? At this point, it's still a worker lead right here for Dark. So many overlords. I think most of these Zerg players are kind of scared of playing the late game a bit lately, and because of that, they're trying to play as greedy in early game as possible, so they can actually hit a mid-game timing that is, hopefully for them, gonna win the game. But it's clearly left some defenses here that are ordinarily... Oh, there's a box over there. Anyways, normally, yeah, we play this a little bit more unit-focused right here for Zerg. I think Dark is trying to cut some corners so he can go for a killer timing attack later on, prioritizing workers. Anyways, in the meantime, Bunny has got a killer economy himself as well. He hasn't killed a lot of drones, but Dark, well, I mean, he's making a few additional workers at this point. But he obviously hasn't found himself in the most comfortable position. That being said, though, it was also very easy there for Zerg to lose that base and maybe more than 4 workers. He did lose 7 queens, however. 7 queens is a lot. Siege tank right now also available. Okay. So the question is, are we gonna go for another command center here, Bunny? We're currently at 5 racks. Okay. I almost thought that this was gonna be the type of game where we're gonna go like 8 racks, 3 base, and just keep on pumping out Marines. And I wouldn't hate that. I think it would be pretty sick. But I do believe that he's gonna go for another command center here. He's still being aggressive, though. Empty medevac drop on the left side of the map. Let's go. This is triggering some of the Zerg units to run on over in that direction. Siege tanks, you guys might want to join the party. Okay, well, now it's a bit late. Yeah, 4cc does start up. Double medevac drop. Without units, so it's not even really a drop. But Zerg still has to respect this because they can't see if there's any units inside of it. I think Dark, though, actually did call the bluff there as well. Because even though he saw those medevacs coming in from a mile away, he didn't really have a lot of units in the main base to defend against a double medevac drop. These guys are playing some mind games on one another. Either way, I'm liking this position a lot right now for the Terran. He's hit a bit of a supply block. Yeah. I mean, a small one. Obviously, Terran can always drop supply depots out of the high heavens as well. He could also just lose a couple of units. That's another option. When you're playing aggressively, you hit a supply block, maybe trade out a couple units. Suddenly, well, you have some supply available once again. Okay. Dark really needs to power out some workers here. I don't really like the idea of him sitting around on 60-something here. I think he actually needs like 80+ workers. But he's afraid of a big timing attack here from the Terran. He hasn't seen that 4th command center, so he's thinking about the build that I was thinking of earlier, where this is going to be an 8 Rex all-in from Bunny. So Bunny has been doing an excellent job denying all of the scouting information. So at this point, Dark is making a couple drones, then a couple of units, and then a couple drones. And that's not usually the way you, well, prefer playing Zerg. Usually you want to power out the drones as quickly as possible and then eventually make an army, because obviously the longer the units are around for, the more resources they will mine, and therefore the more units you'll end up with later. Here's the double-pronged harassment that Cure is very happy to do. Bunny taking a page out of Björn's book, taking a page out of Cure's book, and he does snipe the hatchery with it. Lovely movement. 2-2 is about halfway done, whereas Bunny is going up against the Zerg, who's barely finishing 1-1. Amazing game right here, right, Bunny? Yep. We're now at 79 SCVs versus 69 drones. Now, I know some Zerg players may be saying, nice. It's not nice, guys. 69 workers. It's not what we're looking for at all. Okay, unless you hit, okay, the Bowels of a Century. That would be amazing. If all of those clumped up medevacs ended up going down right there to corrosive bowels, that'd be pretty sick. Siege tanks do live, though, and this is a choke point that I really don't think you want to fight into as a Zerg player. Bailing's speed is gonna finish up momentarily, but Bunny, I mean, he's gonna hit 2-2 upgrades here very soon, and I think 2-2 upgrades are gonna be amazing. If this fight took place with 2-2 already done, so they're finishing up right now, as you can see on the right side of the screen, this fight would have been dominantly in favor of Bunny. So Bunny's like, yo, bro, let's continue. I mean, we were having a good time previously. Let's continue doing exactly what we were doing previously. That's one siege tank getting bowed down, but nothing all too amazing. Yeah, there's no counter against the medevacs here. So the medevacs coming out in rather big numbers. We have a couple of liberators now also joining the fray. missile turret coming up. So Bunny actually is going to take up permanent residence in this location on the map. He'll probably go for a planetary in the middle here soon. That's also a difficult position for Zerg to break. And yeah, this is now creating a nice little corridor right over here on the map, right? He's got a top lane over here on the map that he's made himself that allowed him to snipe that third base of the Zerg player. Okay. No jungling in this game. Last time I checked, Dark. Planetary here in the middle of the map together with a missile turret is a killer position. Incredibly hard for the Zerg player to break because they have to go through the slow zone. And planetary on that high ground, it feels incredibly tough. So I like this. Missile turret going up too, so we have detection. Okay. Bunny transitioning towards the Ghost. Started up 3-3 as well, around the same time as the Zerg started 2-2. Dark still at 69 workers. Still not nice. It's not nice. I know you may very well have your instinct kicking in right here. Like, no, it's not nice, okay? Dark doesn't really have much going for him in this game, to be honest. He's got Hive done right now, so he's going for both fungal growth as well as Vipers. So that's nice, I guess. But this is a big advantage right now for our... Ooh, this is cool. That siege tank is super dead. Oh my god! Hold up. Did that entire Terran army just die? I don't think Dark realized how many units were sitting there originally. So these cooling towers, they collapse right in the middle of the map. Oh my god. 200 supply? 177. That was a lot of losses right there. My god, that's a lot of bloody murder right over there in the middle of the map, and this may very well trigger Dark to go for a counterattack. Still, there's siege tanks on the high ground. There's that planetary anchor right over here that you could always fall back to. In the meantime, we have command centers building left and right as well. That was sick, actually. Yeah, a little bit too greedy right there by Bunny. He was probably having a good time right there in the middle of the map. 11 drones. They get powered up right now. So I guess Dark was looking for a moment where he could make some economy. As soon as he sits at 80-something workers, I'm gonna feel a little bit better about his position. Still, Bunny in a good spot. He just lost, well, about 23 supply for free, which maybe he didn't need to lose. And maybe there were actually still units on the production tab fired up immediately because they were in the queue. So there's a chance that actually more supply than what we just saw in the numbers ended up going down. Anyways. Now we're gonna start taking up shop over here on the left side of the map too, but the siege tanks are murdering one another. Good movement right there by Dark. Corrosive Balls going down over here as well on the siege tanks. EMPs though, okay, do connect with the infestors, and I think that is gonna give Bunny the movement here that he needs to go after the expansion here on the left side of the map. Zerglings here, okay, trying to take care of this planetary fortress before it finishes morphing in, but I believe it will finish morphing in. Corrosive Balls over here as well will kill the Liberator. That Lib getting pwned. Ghost, though, is going to finish up the cloaking upgrade here. Okay. So Bunny not really too keen to add on additional factories in this series so far, right? So he is actually sticking around on the Bio Army for longer than some of the other Terrans. And he decides to go into heavier Liberator play. Which is kind of cool. A lot of players are now... Oh, actually, hold that thought, because we have a big engagement over here. Moving forward right now is Dark. Blinding clouds over there, preventing that Terran army from moving in. Okay. Dark very good in these uncommon situations. Thinking on his feet. Anyways, most of the Terran players at this point in the game will be adding on additional factories and then going Blue Flame Hellbats. And eventually they get towards Ghost Mech. Where are we going, Mr. Ghostman? Oh, we're just gonna snipe. Oh my god. He's just target firing down the, he just target fired down one of the Vipers. He would have gotten the second one too if Dark didn't fungal very quickly because he didn't have detection. Here's another snipe. Okay, that one didn't finish either. Ghost Academy coming up for Dark. These guys are becoming next door neighbors on the right side of the map. Big counterattack right now. This is some lovely movement here. Yep. Usually this is an angle you can take. It feels a little funny. As a Zerg player, it does feel a little bit weird to run on over here, but this is usually a vulnerability. And that was a ghost going down, a couple siege tanks as well. In the meantime, we do have an army over here moving on the left side of the map once again. Corrosive Biles do not connect. Yeah, imagine if Bunny did not lose all of those units in the middle of the map. Oh, I think he would have won this game by now, to be honest. Instead, he's given his opponent an opportunity to get back. And, well, you give Dark an inch, he'll take a mile. He doesn't need much. He's trying his best to stabilize. +3/+3 though is done right now for the Terran. Zerg is going for +3 carapace, going into Ultras. I honestly don't like Ultras here very much. The Ghost number is significant. We're making Ultras into a Terran player who's got Ghost done. I've got a feeling that those Ghosts are gonna pop the Ultras in a second. Okay, one snipe ends up going down. He's trying to bait the units once again further forward, trying to bait them off creep. Tactical nuke now also becoming available here for Bunny. +3 is done. Chitinous plating going to finish up, yet the Ghosts are not going to care. If somehow, some way, the Ultralisk can get on top of all of this army, it's gonna be sick, but I just don't see it happening. Instead, okay, they're being used for the counterattack, so this base over here will indeed go down. Lovely work. Another planetary over here, though. Oh, Corrosive Biles over here as well, trying their very best to connect, getting some good hits in. Big Zerg counterattack once again. This Ultra group is gonna try its very best to go after the planetary fortress on the right side of the map. In the meantime, though, Bunny does take a lot of Corrosive Biles to the face, but he is stimming forward and he's taking care of 2 bases of the Zerg. Tactical nuke now, going straight, across the map. I messed up my hotkeys right there for just a moment, in case you're wondering what happened. This nuke is likely going to land. Jimmy, no! Okay, good, Jimmy. Good, get out of there. Oh, Jimmy still died. Hope you didn't get too attached. Planetary over here in the middle of the map as well. The 5th base, I believe, from the Terran player also goes down. Bunny just lost a tremendous amount of his economy, but the same can be said for Dark. Dark, though, still at 61 drones. He's got that base up north. 30 workers are gonna mine over there. This Ultra trying its best, getting some work done. Fair enough. Okay. Both players giving the opponent a little bit of time to breathe. And when it comes to the army, I am most definitely favoring Bunny here still. If Bunny can somehow, some way force an engagement, I think he's gonna be feeling pretty good about himself. No Neuroparasite available, so this Infestor is hiding right here for a fungal growth. If it can get a fungal, there it is! It does connect with all of the Ghosts! The Ghost getting some really good hits in. Siege tanks not entirely sieged up just yet. Okay, there's still quite a few Ghosts available though. Yeah, and the amount of units still popping out of those Terran structures. It's significant. Bunny maintains the supply advantage. But again, Dark is showing us that he is one of the very best players in the world. This base is the lifeline though, of the Zerg. EMP over there does remove the energy out of the Infestors. Without Infestors, it's gonna be hard to break this. In the meantime, there's a base landed in the bottom left-hand corner, so Bunny has got a little bit of mining again himself. Dark decides to go for a counterattack. Fair enough. Getting a good amount of damage done, but the reinforcing units now are rallied over there, and Dark realizes that there's no way for him to obtain the victory anymore. And even though he made it close, it's Bunny who obtains the victory.